Good evening from PLUGHITZ Studios in Largo, Florida. I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we're here with episode 536 of F5 Live, Refreshing Technology, for Monday, August 26th, 2019. This show is a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. This week, Android is a little less sweet, Apple is a little less expensive, and Libra is a little less confident. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, on any of our podcatchers such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the Podcast Play app in the Windows Store, the myriad of others like Spotify or TuneIn Radio, on any of our live stream platforms, livestream.com, Mixer, Twitch, Periscope, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or of course on our website, PLUGHITZlive.com. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There are two ways that you can do that. The first is normally on Sunday nights at 9 p.m., obviously this evening, Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can go to f5live.tv/join us, and there you can chat with us in the studio as we talk about our topics. Avram and I always love to hear what you have to say about the topics as we talk about them. If you can't join us live, that is okay. You can always go to plughitzlive.com/subscribe, and there you will see all of our shows, including F5 Live and the Piltch Point, as well as PLUGHITZ Live Presents, First Looks, and a whole bunch of others. With that, I think that's the spiel. Avram, how are you?
Decent. Looking forward to Labor Day weekend. Decent. Getting some stuff done. Never enough.
I understand that. You have anything planned for the weekend, or is it just gonna be a chill weekend for you?
Yeah. Doing some stuff with the extended family that I don't normally see, so that'll be cool.
That's good.
It's so that'll be cool, I guess. I'll be spending not much time with the computer. That'll be mixed feelings. Although as it turns out, like 2 out of 3 of my cousins there are working computers, so
interesting.
Go figure. I guess it rubs off.
Apparently.
Don't tell anyone, but one of my cousins actually works for Apple.
Ah, okay.
We don't talk about it.
I was going to say that sounds like the technological black sheep.
No, I mean it's cool. She is, being at Apple, she can't really talk about what she does. It's sort of like working for the CIA. But it's something to do with their mobile software.
Okay, interesting. Well, that's interesting coming from obviously coming from a very Android guy.
Yeah, it's fine. I recognize that it's that there's good there's some good development going on there. So,
well, I don't have any special plans for the weekend, but I do know that you were saying you've been doing a lot, but never enough. That's how I've felt the last week or so, as videos have been published to PLUGHITZ Live Presents all week. We're like 21.
Yeah.
I think we're 21 videos in out of like 75 or so. So it's going. Collision is finally going up. Nothing against the conference, but I cannot wait to be rid of it. It is some of my favorite content, and it is some of the hardest work getting that stuff out in the wild. So I cannot wait for it to be done. But there is some really cool stuff that has been published already, and people can check that out at plughitzlive.com/ no, just go to collision.live. That's your easiest way to get there. I was thinking CES. Collision.live will take you right to it. So definitely check that stuff out. It's some really fun content. But with that, how about we get down to some news?
Yeah.
This week's Nifty Gifties on F5 Live is proudly powered by Microsoft. Whether you're looking for a new laptop or a tablet or the new Samsung phones, either the Galaxy S10 or the Note 10, or a variety of other products, the Xbox One, S, or X, you're looking for software stuff like Visual Studio, you can find all of it by going to f5live.tv/Microsoft. And remember, students and military get a 10% discount. So, I think especially for those of us in the industry, one of the most fun aspects of Android every year is the guessing game on what sweet name the next version is going to be called. There has been a couple of different ways they've gone. Sometimes they've gone generic, like Android Pie. Sometimes they've gone super branded with a partner, like Android Oreo. But it has always been something sweet, some sort of a dessert. It was originally key lime pie, and it became Kit Kat. Just always something in that space. But with the release of Android 10, that naming convention is coming to an end. It will officially just be the number, Android 10. There will be no sweet attached to it. I think that this was an inevitable move because I think X, Y, and Z were going to be problems for them. Plus, after Z, what were they going to do? But Q, also a problem. And plus, the whole cutesy thing, it was fun, but I think it created confusion because is it 9? Is it Android 9 or is it Android Pie? Are they the same thing? Are they different things? So no more with these sweet names. It will just be Android Pie, though I would love to know if they pitched any Q names around the office.
Quick?
Yes.
Quick, like Nestle Quick?
Which they have already had a relationship with Nestle for a previous Android version, so it's the only thing I could come up with. Somebody suggested quiche, and I'm like, quiche is...
That's bad.
Yeah, that's savory. That's not a sweet. That would have worked after they got to Z. My prediction was after Z, they were going to loop back around and do savories the second time. And so it would have worked the second time around, but it wouldn't have worked this time. Quick is the only thing I came up with.
How does Apple keep coming up with names for OS X?
It seems like there's a wall of just words and they throw darts at it. That's my guess.
Or we have, and this is actually a brand new thing, right? As of last week, Intel's super confusing new set of laptop chips where they have all these different lakes. So now you have Intel 10th generation Core, which could be either Ice Lake or Comet Lake. And if it's Comet Lake, it's 14 nanometers, and if it's Ice Lake, it's 10 nanometers. But they're both 10 series CPUs just to keep it interesting. I mean, so they're not the only ones with a naming issue.
For sure.
I think they gave up on. It seems to me like, and I'm sure someone from NVIDIA will correct me, but it seems like NVIDIA gave up on Tegra, or at least gave up on it as like a major processor. But they had a great naming scheme for the Tegras, although granted they were code names, just like Intel's code names, Ice Lake and Comet Lake.
Right.
But they were all named after superheroes. So it was like Wayne, Kal-El, Logan, So I thought that was the coolest little naming scheme.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And I think you mentioned Mac OS. I think originally this kind of weird naming thing really started with Mac OS X for public consumption with the big cats. All of the until they got to 1010, right? It was big cats, which was bizarre, but it worked for them. Everybody knew what weird big cat was attached to their computer. Nobody knew that it was 10.6. Nobody knew the number. Everybody knew the cat, and that was fine. It worked. I think the problem that Android is facing is that people hear both names and aren't able to figure out, are they the same? Are they different? I think that's what has caused Android to make this move. I think
the lack of sweet cues is what has caused them to make this move.
I think it's certainly what made them do it now. But they've also updated the logo, which I like, because I have always hated the lowercase n and the lowercase r that they used, because the n looked like an upside down U and the r looked like the n cut in half. I hated that font so much, and they have thankfully fixed that. They've also given the mascot a bit of a makeover, at least a new color scheme. I actually really like the bizarre new green that they chose. It is painfully distinct in the same way that the green that we used for the Piltch point is like painfully distinct. It's bizarre, but it works. I think that what they chose for the new Android logo and the new mascot head, I think works really well. And they've got a couple of like official poses because it's like nose and above. They've got a couple of official poses where he's like looking off to the left, off to the right, rolling his eyes, and then looking straight out, which I thought was pretty fun. So I think they did a really good job with this branding remake, and I'm a little bit of a branding snob, so for me to say something positive about somebody else's brand makeover is unusual. And it seems it's unusual for me to say something nice about Google. So, hooray! We got a twofer here.
I like numbers. Numbers are accurate, right? Like, I feel like every time there's too much of a trend in the last few years of companies refusing to really give you the number. Like,
the
Windows makes it really difficult right now.
Yeah. And even then, even we used to have, at least we had cutesy names for a while, and we don't even get that anymore. It's what version? Don't worry about it.
Right. They want to obscure it because, I mean, if you're in the know, you can figure out which build you have and all that. But they really want to obscure it from most people because I talk to tech PR people all the time. Oh, we don't want people to worry about it. Yeah, that's another way of we don't want to be transparent, of saying we don't want to be transparent.
Yeah.
Let's not assume that people are stupid. The computer PC age has been going on now for like 40 years. I think we can assume now that people understand what version numbers are, and that they understand a new version number is newer and allegedly better than an old version number.
10 is greater than 9.
So all of this attempt to like obscure version numbers, like that's what kills me with. I mean, Apple is the worst with this with their MacBooks. Like, which MacBook Pro do you have? Oh, I have the one from early 2018, the one with this bar. It's really. I mean, somewhere there's some weird set of letters and numbers that it stands for, but they don't. They really hide that. So, like,
yeah, they do.
If you're shopping on Amazon and you want to know whether you are looking at a listing for the latest MacBook, not the one before or the one before that, it might not be so easy.
Yeah. And Microsoft did it once and backed out. The Surface Pro 5 was just called the Surface Pro. And they backed out of that and they called the sixth one the Surface Pro 6. Thank goodness. Everybody seems
But
to have done
on
it
the
at
other
some
hand,
point.
they don't want to be Windows 11.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
I mean,
And it's
are we
interesting
going to be on Windows 10 forever?
until whatever happens with Core. But it's exactly what happened with Mac OS. When they got to 10, they stuck. They stopped at 10, and everything has been... Well, they dropped the X and lowercase the M a year and a half or so ago. But it was Mac OS X 10.13, where the sub number was actually the primary build number, which
Yep.
is idiotic. So yeah, I'm totally with you. I hate when that kind of thing is completely obfuscated from the user. There are so many times when you need to know what your whatever it is. So stop hiding it. And Android has stopped hiding it. They are putting it out there front and center. Is no longer is Pi better than Oreo, because that's a debate conversation.
Yeah.
Now 10 is
no doubt.
newer than 9. So I personally, I think this is a really good move, and hopefully Android creates the new trend that Apple screwed up in the first place. This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. Speaking of obfuscation, sometimes you want to obfuscate your internet history, your internet browsing, whether you're trying to keep Facebook and Google from tracking your moves for whatever weird thing they're tracking it for, or you want to keep your browsing history private from your internet service provider. PureVPN is a great way to do that. And also, it allows you to report that you're physically somewhere else. So when we were at Collision a couple months ago, we wanted to be able to watch Hulu. We couldn't, but with PureVPN, we could say we were still home and still use our Hulu. And right now, for our viewers, we've got a really great deal. Instead of $10.95 a month, you can get 2 years of PureVPN service for $2.88 a month. That is a 74% savings and a really great deal. And you can find out all about that by going to piltchpoint.live/PureVPN. So we have talked, Avram, about a little project that you've been working on. But I know that there's a lot of stuff in addition to the little arcade cabinet. There's other stuff that goes into playing games, right?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about just how easy it is, relatively speaking, although there's some challenges these days, to set up your own retro arcade system. And when I say retro arcade system, I mean not just arcade games, but the ability to play Nintendo Nintendo 64 games, SNES games, Atari 2600 games. There's at least 10 different systems, maybe a dozen systems that you can easily emulate. And of course, you can do this on a PC by going and downloading some of these emulators. There are a few different sites devoted to this. But the one thing a lot of people like to do with their Raspberry Pi, and you'll forgive me for being a big Pi promoter, is to use them to create emulation systems, because that way you can actually combine them with physical hardware, like a joystick and buttons, like an old-fashioned joystick and buttons, or you can at the very least attach it to your TV, spend $35 on a Raspberry Pi and turn it into a console without using your PC to do it, which is good if you have kids. So, I've shown not long ago that I have a couple of things that do this. Here's one that I built that I built myself. So this, this system here uses a Raspberry Pi 3B. You can see if you open it up here, that's what's inside. And all the little arcade buttons here connect to a USB controller board on the inside, as does the joystick. One thing that's a little bit limitation about the controller USB controller I used is I had to find a way of routing a USB cable, so I had to cut holes in the box just to have this ugly cable going on the outside, which is kind of lame. But the bottom line is you can do this kind of thing for real cheap. And the emulation software is free. So what do you do if you want to get started? First of all, if you don't own a Raspberry Pi, you should get one. Now, normally I'm a big proponent of getting the latest and greatest, which would be the Raspberry Pi 4. But as of this date, the emulation software, the leading emulation platforms, which for Raspberry Pi, which are called RetroPie and Laka, are both don't have a release version that supports the Raspberry Pi 4. I have an article up on Tom's Hardware that explains how you can use the beta version of Laka, or you can kind of hack RetroPie 4 to work on the Raspberry Pi 4. But if you want to make your life easy and if you get a Raspberry Pi 3B, those will work out of the box at this moment because the release software works with them. So if you say, and I think of those two, RetroPie is definitely the more popular. You can get it at retropie.org. And you actually don't even have to install it. You can download a micro SD card image, burn, as in write the image to a micro SD card, stick it into your Raspberry Pi, connect your Raspberry Pi to power and your TV and a controller. A standard Xbox or PlayStation controller will do. And you're off and running. Now, the other thing you have to do, obviously, is have ROMs. ROMs are what you call ripped cartridges or discs that ran on, that were originally made to run on the original system, whether that was an arcade machine like old Space Invaders, or it was a Nintendo cartridge, or an Atari cartridge, or a Sega CD. Now, technically speaking, downloading such things is at best a legal gray area. Probably not something we can recommend. But a lot of people do download their ROMs from various sites. You can search for yourself, or if you own some of those cartridges and you're able to rip them into ROMs, you can use those. But the results are pretty impressive once you get some games up and running and you copy them over to your RetroPie box. I mean, it's just really easy. Even with the Raspberry Pi 3B, which is just 1 gigabyte of RAM and not the world's fastest computer, it can run up to, I think, SNES games or even Game Boy games, Atari games, regular old arcade games, Commodore 64 really, really, really well. And of course, it gets a lot more fun if you buy a kit that allows you to build something like this, or you can get a more complete kit like I have here. Whoa, is it plugged in? This is the Picade that I've shown before. You can get this in a version for the Raspberry Pi 3, but they sent me the one for the 4, so I'm having a little trouble getting the software to work because, as I said, you have to hack it a little bit, which I did, but now it won't boot, so I got to reinstall it. because they give you the pieces to make the machine, but you got to download the free software yourself. So as I said, right now Pi 4 is not really supported. So while you can use it, you got to kind of change some files, and not everything works well. But if you have a 3, you can get a model that works with the 3, and you can build an arcade machine like this. This thing costs I think around $200 to build this box. But if you just want to get the parts to make a joystick, and you want to get a box or something, then you're talking about maybe $30-$40 to make something like this. If you already have the Raspberry Pi, which itself is about $30. So I just wanted to mention that because it's something my son and I have had a ton of fun with. He really enjoys playing the old classic games, and it's been really easy to set these up and get up and running, and be able to expose him to all kinds of games that I played in my youth.
Which we've talked a number of times about some of the benefits of that, the lack of DRM or not DRM, DLC and stuff like that. So they're complete games in one package, which is fun. There's no, hey, you can't do this.
It's funny because my son has gotten he's 7, and he's gotten a real sense of like what constitutes an arcade game versus a regular video game. So he was playing a game on his Sphero Bolt, which is a robotic ball. But it's interesting because now they have an app where you can use the Sphero Bolt ball as a controller. And the app looks a lot like Galaga. You have like a little spaceship, and you got to shoot asteroids and aliens, right? And you do it by moving the ball around. And he said, I realize this is an arcade game, which means you just keep going until you die. There's no end of the game. And that's kind of his definition of an arcade game. It's a never-ending game, which, when you think about it,
not bad.
Today's games, a lot of them have an end. Mm-hmm. They have a story that ends. But the story of Dig Dug never ends until you die. You'll be violently causing little lizards to explode, dropping rocks violently on these things. I don't know what you call them, until you eventually succumb. But you'll be eating little dots in Pac-Man until eventually the ghost gets you. It's like life's a maze, and then you die. But
that's interesting.
All I can say for the parents out there is that building a retro system is a great thing you can do with your kids, and then you can give them a taste of the things that you played when you were little. And I've been surprised at how, even though my son has played some really advanced games on his Xbox and even on the PC, playing old arcade games, he still really enjoys them. So there's something timeless about that.
I definitely agree with that. I think that's why it's viewed as nostalgia, but I don't think that's really what it is. I think there really is a certain level of the games themselves are timeless. They may be significantly simpler, both in concept and in graphics for sure, from say a Call of Duty today, but they're just fun. There's not the stress and frustration that comes along with World of Warcraft or whatever. It's just silly fun.
Yeah, I also feel like the control, you can play these on a modern controller, and we have, but I think the controls are part of the fun. Mm-hmm. We have we have at the office. Someone from Tom's Guide got sent to them a, what is the name of that? One Arcade, um, one of those retro systems that you build. It is not a Raspberry Pi system as far as I can tell. It has like 5 games on it. It's like Centipede and Millipede, and it's a trackball system. Like that's what you've got. You don't have a joystick. And I remember that so fondly, like it's the trackball that made the game. Like it's not the same playing Centipede with a joystick. It's not the same playing Asteroids with a joystick. So
because one of the things that we've talked about on some of our other shows is one of the things that makes art interesting is the limitation, whether it be self-imposed or whatever. Doing a complex thing just in charcoal or whatever. It's the limitation that makes art interesting, and it wasn't self-imposed. It was a technological imposition of a limitation on games at the time. The idea of a system being able to respond to 16 inputs with precision was not possible at the time. I mean, now we can do it in a $25 Raspberry Pi, but at the time, a multi-$1,000 arcade machine wasn't going to be able to respond to the kind of input that we use today. So there were input limitations, there were processor limitations, all kinds of things, and I think it's those limitations that made the art form, made the games more interesting.
Yep. So the name of the just to clarify, the name of the company that makes stand-up arcade machines, which you can buy and put together, is Arcade One Up. But if you want to build the little arcade machine I have here, that is a Picade from Pi Maroni, and that's available on Amazon and wherever Raspberry Pi stuff is sold. I also recommend, even if you don't necessarily want to buy the whole cabinet, they make kits that will make it easy for you to make a box like this, so you don't have to drill holes like I did, which was the most time-consuming thing, and come with all the parts you need. So at least you can hook that up to a TV and control it from there. Of course, having the screen built in is definitely a big plus in giving you more of that arcade experience that I think we all want to have. So I definitely recommend checking it out. There's a lot of competing kits on Amazon. If you look for arcade joystick or arcade kit, you can find a million different kinds of buttons. I definitely went through a few different kinds when building this. Some of them I like the click of better than the others, I'll tell you. But it's all in the service of like getting back that great experience that I had when I was like 10 years old, going to the arcade. And now you can go to Dave & Buster's or some modern arcade, but they don't have that many retro machines.
Yeah.
So more things are kind of designed for, more serious type of games. Like my son was asking me, when can we go to a retro arcade? And I was like, I don't know where there's a retro arcade. Not around here. I don't see any. So like, it's not necessary. I mean, there's a few places in the world where you can, but if you really want to have that old-fashioned arcade experience that there's nothing like, you might have to get something and put something together in your house.
Well, when it comes to retro arcades, I have seen them start popping up recently. We've got 2 that I know of here in our local area that have popped up just in the last like year and a half, 2 years. But they tend to not be aimed at kids. They tend to be aimed at you and I. They're oftentimes bars that have a whole bunch of retro arcade machines. When I was in New Orleans for Collision last year, I met up with a friend from our South Florida convention scene who's in the Coast Guard there, and we went to a barcade, and it was a whole bunch of retro arcade machines that we got to play around with at a bar restaurant thing. It was a really interesting experience, and it was all almost entirely all retro stuff, which was a tremendous amount of fun. But obviously, that's not the kind of environment we're probably going to take a 7-year-old to. But I know that there are other. We've got one in the area that's just like primarily like a pinball place, and they've got a bunch of them, and they're targeted at kids, and they've got retro machines too. So it's possible that, I mean, you could have one in your area. I just wouldn't know how to find it.
Yeah, I mean, I was googling this. Apparently, there was a convention the other day, like a retro gaming convention that lasted for 2 days, and you could go there. But that was a temporary thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's somewhere, but I think for most people, the way you're going to get to share this experience with your kids is to find a way of building a system. What I will say is, obviously, there are a lot of resources online, but I do have an article for those who want to try it who are having difficulty and want to try doing emulation on the Raspberry Pi 4. They have a Raspberry Pi 4. They want to get the emulation running. You can look on tomshardware.com. We have it in our nav under Raspberry Pi in the top nav, how you can do emulation on the 4. On the 3, it's so easy. All you really have to do is go to retropie.org and follow the instructions there.
That obviously makes it way easier, but if you're trying to prepare for the future and you get the new hardware, it's nice that there's some help from you out there.
Yeah, I mean, I expect within I check every day. It's been like 2 months that people have been waiting for official support. It's got to be any time within the next like 3-4 weeks that there'll be an official version of RetroPie. But the volunteers who do RetroPie are very cagey about it. They won't, they don't want to give a timetable or anything like that.
They don't want to commit to something.
On the other hand,
they don't want to commit to something that have something come up in their personal lives and not be able to fulfill that commitment, and then they look silly. And I understand.
Exactly. So, but everyone's waiting with bated breath because lots of people are buying the new Pi as they should, and so they want to be able to run emulation on it.
Makes sense. Well, as always, Avram, I love hearing about the projects that you're working on and all of that stuff, because you've been working on some really fun stuff, and I really love the retro arcade stuff. I've been looking at I've been wanting to do a Raspberry Pi game setup, and I found a 3D print model for a Nintendo 64, a miniature Nintendo 64 body that I think is what I want to do.
They sell those. You don't need a 3D print. They sell it the case on Amazon for like $25.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it look like a Nintendo 64, or at least it makes it look like an SNES. So you can get cases that look like that no problem, and you can get controllers that look like original Nintendo controllers too.
And you can even, if you're worried about the whole emulation thing, you can actually get USB cartridge readers and literally read right off the original cartridges. So there all kinds of interesting and unique ways of doing it. So there's a lot of fun to be had in that space, I think. Well, like I said, thanks for talking about what it takes to get it done, and I look forward to what we talk about next. This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by Razer. All the accessories you need to up your game on PC or console are available from Razer. Whether you're looking for a keyboard and a mouse, or a webcam, or even USB controllers that you could use with your Raspberry Pi gaming setup if you wanted to, and a whole lot more, including full systems, are available by going to f5live.tv/Razer. Gotta tie that all back together, right, Avram? So we talked a couple of weeks ago about what Android was doing in response to the Apple Arcade, which Apple announced at WWDC this year, which is a subscription service that gives you access to 100 plus games for a fee per month. If it sounds familiar, that's because it's Xbox Game Pass, but for mobile games. Google had gone one step further and included apps, not just games, but other apps as well. And as part of the subscription, what you get is no ads and the in-game content. So if there are levels to be purchased and stuff like that, you get them as part of the thing. And a great example of that would be Super Mario Run on iOS and Android. You'd get the levels. You wouldn't have to pay individually for the levels or the level packs. It would just be included. So when Google announced, well, didn't really announce, but confirmed that they were testing out a service, we saw that it was priced at $4.99 a month. And obviously that put some pressure on Apple, who had not released a price point for their Apple Arcade service. And this week they announced $4.99 a month. Big surprise that they're matching what Google's doing. Now, of course, the Google service is in flux. It's in testing, so it's one of those things. It may never happen. Of course, it will, but theoretically, it could never happen publicly. The price could change, but of course, now with Apple confirming $4.99 a month, Google won't change their price either. I think they have both locked each other into pricing and availability, which is good. It's nice to have the information that we want, considering this service is supposed to come out in the fall, probably coinciding, give or take, with the launch of the next generation of iPhones, which is likely, give or take a month from today, is about when we suspect that the next generation of iPhones will be on the market, is about a month from today. So that's probably when we'll see this service launch, along with the 11 or whatever they call the device, or device family. So I think $4.99, like we talked about with Google, I think $4.99 is the sweet spot for that price point.
Yeah, I'm sure, because how much do people really want to spend on mobile games when there's so many mobile games that are free to play? Although they're deceptively free to play, because if you actually care about what's happening in the game, then you've got to spend money, and probably a lot more than $4.99 a month.
Right.
But at a certain point, don't you think that people are going to have, or don't they already have, subscription fatigue?
Yes.
There's so many subscription services, and it's just growing exponentially. So now I'm going to subscribe let me count the ways. How much, so let's say you have an iPhone, so you get this $4.99 a month service for your games. But then when you get home, you have you need your Xbox Live Gold, to play on your console.
Which, if you're smart, you're not buying just the Xbox Live Gold. You're buying the Xbox Game Pass Plus, or whatever it's called, Ultimate, or whatever it's called, because it's basically the same price, but you get the games on PC and console for the. But yes.
So that's a subscription.
Yeah.
So that's a subscription. Then you want to get Netflix,
or we just stay on the iPhone. You want to be able to back up your device, but the iCloud storage is purposely too small to keep your phone synced. So you have to pay the 99 cents a month to get the bigger iCloud, so you can keep your 64 gig iPhone backed up in the event you put it through a wood chipper and have to restore it tomorrow.
Yep.
And then we're gonna have Apple TV Plus, which is gonna be probably $9.99 a month. I don't remember what the price is to screw around with Netflix and all the all the competition there. Just on Apple, you've got all that, and you've got Apple News Plus. Yeah, we're gonna have subscription fatigue just in the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, it's. You know what somebody should come up with a business? Someone should come up with a business that organizes all of your subscriptions. Like all of your different subscriptions, whether they're for games or music or video or storage or whatever, like that you have like one place that you can log in and make sure that you're paying all of them or cancel or add them, which I know there's some attempt to do this by Amazon where they have the Amazon Prime channels, so you could subscribe to CBS All Access or something from the Prime channels. Right. But it's getting to be a really big pain to keep track of all these subscriptions. Like what happens if you have to change your credit card and you've got 20 different recurring subscriptions that you don't even can't even keep track of.
Privacy is the service for that. PLUGHITZlive.com/privacy. That way you don't have to worry about it. The card is just for the service, and if your debit card or credit card has to be replaced, you change it out behind the scenes at Privacy and just change your funding source to those other debit cards. Everything keeps going. Best thing ever. I love
that's
it.
That's really good. That's fantastic.
And then if it also gives you the ability if there's a breach, which we talk about almost every week, we talk about data breaches. The card can only be used at Netflix. So what are they going to do? Pay your Netflix bill early? Oh well.
Right. Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's fine, $4.99. I mean, if people are gonna, but I think at a certain point, I don't know, they ought to make these things easier for consumers by bundling some of these services together. Maybe
some sort of Apple Ultimate subscription.
One. Yeah. Here's your Apple Ultimate subscription.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the Xbox Ultimate that gives you the PC Game Pass, the Xbox Game Pass, and the Xbox Live Gold all bundled together. Apple could do like an Apple Ultimate subscription that has News Plus and TV Plus and the expanded iCloud and the arcade and all that in one possibly discounted subscription. Make it better for everybody. Yeah, I'm with you. But yeah, I definitely think subscription fatigue is coming in a bigger way than it is already. I mean, we saw, Loot Crate is done. So we're already starting to see some of the early subscription services fold up like Loot Crate. So, I think it's already starting to set in. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that at the end of the show, but yeah, something has to be done. We can't all have 100 million subscriptions. We all hear $5, like great, but when there's 100 of them, $5 a month gets ridiculous real quick. But if you're a big mobile gamer, this is the kind of thing that might end up saving you money depending on what games are in it, which obviously we don't know today what the full lineup is, but like I said, we'll probably know within a couple of weeks. When they announce the iPhone, they'll probably put out the launch titles, and for some people, $5 might be a huge savings for if you're buying a lot of in-game stuff. For me, I've never purchased an in-game thing in a mobile game, so it wouldn't change anything for me. But for some people, it could be a huge deal. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes when it launches. This week's news from the tubes and F5 Live is proudly powered by RiffTrax. Make fun of movies or let these guys do it for you. Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy, the former stars of Mystery Science Theater 3000, are back and doing what they do best, creating commentaries for Hollywood blockbusters and B-movie oddities. And this one is somewhere down the middle. It's Street Fighter. The way it normally works is for a couple of dollars, you download the MP3, you play it along with your DVD, Netflix, Amazon, wherever the movie happens to exist, and laugh. They also, from time to time, do some live events, although their live events for 2019 are complete, having finished up this past week. But they also have some deals right now, like $2 off Miami Connection, which, by the way, is a wonderful riff. Definitely worth doing, especially at a discount. To find out what films are available and what shorts you can check out, you can go to f5live.tv/rifftracks with an X. I don't know where to put Street Fighter. Is it a B movie? Is it a Hollywood blockbuster? I don't know that it's either. Anyway, so cryptocurrency. Obviously, big business right now, and Facebook wants a piece of the pie, and they announced their Libra currency earlier in the year. They launched with 28 founding members of the, I believe it's called the Libra Association, yes, which will oversee the program. Their intentions are to have 100 members of the association by 2020, which is when they want to launch the currency. However, because Facebook is constantly under scrutiny for many good reasons, there have been problem after problem. For example, governments from around the world are concerned that the existence of Libra and its tie to Facebook could actually harm the value of fiat currencies, which, when you read some of their arguments, makes sense. They're also worried that the tie between the two could mean that Libra transactions may not be as encrypted as one might think. But on top of everything, we now have a bit of discontentment within the association itself. There are 2 members who are considering abandoning ship before the program is officially launched. We don't know who the 2 of the 28 are, but all 28 are high-profile companies, and the loss of any of them would be a problem. But obviously, the concern is legitimate. Being associated with Facebook through the Libra Association could bring additional scrutiny and the cost of, additional lawyer time and stuff on their organizations. And then, if you're associated with Facebook, you never know what legal associations that may create, and that isn't good for anybody right now. So there are 2 organizations that are thinking of leaving, and so that doesn't bode well for either Facebook's 2020 mid-2020 launch, or getting to 100 founding members for launch if they're already losing people before it starts.
So why would somebody want to have Facebook cryptocurrency? I know why Facebook would want to have their own money. It sort of makes it like Club Med. Don't they have it when you go to Club Med or something? They give you special seashells or whatever to buy your drinks.
Yes.
So yeah, I could see why they want to make it so that you'll use money that's associated with them. But that's precisely why I don't think people will want this money.
Right.
I mean, it's against the spirit of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
The spirit of cryptocurrency is very distributed, not run by a particular company. You have different exchanges. People do mining. It's hard now. That's also why cryptocurrency has not really gone mainstream either. Like people are making a lot of money off of it. At the same time, name 5 stores where you can actually spend your cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Today the number is lower than it was 3 years ago, because you even used to be able to use it at Newegg, and you can't even do that anymore.
So, I find right now cryptocurrency to kind of, unless you're just going to trade it with other people who will eventually give you cash for it, it's not very valuable. But yeah, I can't imagine people associate, wanting to use Facebook money, especially with all of the privacy problems that they have on Facebook and all the scams that happen when people scam people on Facebook. I think all you need is yet another way for people to for hackers to part you from your money.
Yeah. Now I've seen some platforms that use cryptocurrency to create a different type of value. So not necessarily making payments in cryptocurrency to websites or whatever, but going back to talking about collision, we talked with a company called Badali that is using it basically to eliminate Western Union from long distance wire transfers. So they're instantaneous, they're trackable, they're confirmable, things like that. So there is some currency related value to crypto, but it's definitely few and far between. It has not. It's more of a stock or bond than it is a currency right now, except for things like Badali and things that have found ways. Or I think last year at Collision we talked with a company who was using it for countries that were underbanked, but here in the U.S., underbanked isn't really a thing. We're talking about Venezuela. That here there's not really a currency value to it in general. So, and then tying it to Facebook, isn't it just and it being give or take tied to fiat? Doesn't that just make it Facebook tokens? And wasn't that a failure the first time?
Yeah, it seems like this is going to be about as successful as the Facebook in-home camera.
Oh, I can't even remember what that's called, and that's not great.
I should remember because it's only been 6 months or whatever since it came out. But
Portal, Facebook Portal,
and it wasn't a bad idea. It was a good idea because so many people are chat on Facebook and it had good cameras. But I think the lack of trust in Facebook is why that has been a failure.
Yeah, and so allowing them to also be your bank, that's not going to happen. I am not surprised that people are getting cold feet on this. I am surprised they had 28 founding members. I think that is double what made sense. Especially at the time that they announced it, I was like, you got 27 other companies behind this? That's pretty impressive, because you're not going to get consumers behind it.
Yep.
This week's DRM Not Included on F5 Live is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. Obviously, you get free shipping, sometimes same day, but what you may not know about is some of your cool other benefits, like Amazon Prime Music, which gives you a couple of million tracks available to stream for free, and then a huge discount on the full Amazon Music subscription. You also get Amazon Prime Video, which gives you TV shows, movies, documentaries, both original content and licensed, including HBO back catalog stuff and all kinds of content also available as part of your subscription. Plus Twitch Prime, which you can use a couple of different ways. The first is you get a free subscription every month, which you can use to subscribe to a content creator of your choice to help support them financially. You can subscribe to PLUGHITZ Live or anybody else. You also get free games every month, which is my favorite part. And the games are yours once they're yours. It's similar to Xbox Live or PlayStation Network or Switch Online, which, by the way, right now, if you are a Prime subscriber, you also get a free year of Switch Online, where you get more free games. And we've got our list of our favorite features and some quick links to get to them. Plus, if you're not already a subscriber, we've got a free 30-day trial and the ability to send it as a gift to somebody else. And all of that is available at f5live.tv/prime. So we teased this a little bit when we were talking about subscription fatigue, and this might be one of the better examples of it. The service that used to be called DirecTV Now and was officially rebranded this week to AT&T TV Now, because that's easy to say, has had massive subscriber abandonment. In fact, about 1 million subscribers in the last statistic have abandoned ship. And of course, like any good sinking ship, AT&T has decided to follow the failing restaurant model and lower its quality and increase its prices in an attempt to keep the lights on. And they have added new packages, and they range all the way up to $135 per month for 125 channels. Now, let me put that number into perspective. When DirecTV Now first launched, it launched at $35 a month for 60 channels. So $100 less for only half the channels. And AT&T's hardline cable service, AT&T Uverse, offers 190 channels plus internet access for $115 a month. So, who is this service for? No idea.
Cord cutters who don't know better?
It's all I can figure. It's officially, the top package is officially more expensive than hardline with internet.
Well, you could argue that that's their hardline, whereas you could get DirecTV Now anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So,
but
you can't get Uverse anywhere.
That's true. But just looking AT&T to AT&T, I mean, the fact that the hard line, which is more expensive for them to maintain, is less money is insane. And I can tell you $135 for the 125 channel package, way more than I pay.
Yeah, no, it's an awful price.
It's insane.
It's one of those things. You could argue that they want it to fail because they want to be punitive toward people who are cutting the cord.
Well, that's interesting.
Like, a lot of cable operators don't like cord cutting, right? So you have this service that people use for cord cutting. We're going to make it look unattractive.
Okay.
By pricing it more expensive. And if you look at what it actually costs to be a cord cutter, in a lot of cases, if you want a lot of the same content that people get from a cable package, it's more expensive.
Uh-huh.
You don't really win I mean, I'm not cord cutting for exactly that reason. You don't really win unless there's only a handful of things that you want to watch. You just want your Netflix. You just want, you know, you just want a couple of streaming services. If you want to watch most of the channels that people are getting on cable, well, you might as well get cable.
Yeah, and
So
we've certainly seen that. I really wish that there were more a la carte services. It's how Sling TV got started, where you pay $35 for your base, and then you can add your little a la carte packages here and there, which is kind of the way Dish Network used to work. I don't know if it still does. I haven't sold them in a decade, but it's how Dish Network was, $19 a month, and then if you wanted the Spanish channels, it was $3, and if you wanted that, it was $2, and whatever. I wish the TV streaming services worked more that way. I think it would be more, whichever company is able to get the contracts to pull that off first, I think is the one that attracts the cord cutters.
yeah, no doubt. It's a difficult situation for sure, and on top of it, if you're a cord cutter, on top of your direct TV now, you're probably also paying extra for Netflix, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're paying extra, and you'll be paying extra for Disney Plus next month.
For sure.
And you'll be paying extra for CBS All Access, and you'll be paying extra for, like, it goes on and on. You'll be paying extra for DC Universe and Hulu and
Yeah, it's and it really brings us back to that subscription fatigue thing. It's the idea of signing up for these things, and again, at $8 for Hulu and $11 for Netflix, and it all sounds little until you start adding them all up, and you look at the number and you're like, how did I get to $350 a month in subscription? Wasn't I trying to get away from the $80 cable package? How did we get here?
Yeah, and not only that, but your internet probably costs more because it's not part of the cable package. So
Right.
You're paying more for your connection to get this stuff.
Which brings us back to that whole you save with a bundle thing. It's the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate thing. It's the Apple Ultimate thing that we pitched. If you bundle things together, you get a discount on everything because it's better for the company that's providing the service. And I think that's the reason why a la carte hasn't worked with television, is the TV stations don't want to be licensed a la carte. They want to be licensed.
No, they don't, because
bulk.
they want to force you.
Yeah. Or they want to force
you to get
they want to
channels.
force the operator to pay a subscription fee for everybody, a licensing fee per user.
Yeah,
and a la carte doesn't.
You end up with channels.
Yeah, a la carte doesn't lend its way to that, and so you, like you were gonna say, you end up with channels you don't care about.
Right. Like what if you want to watch NBC, but you're also paying for the Sci-Fi Channel and every other NBC property. Right.
Yeah.
You want to watch Fox Sports, but you also get Fox News and Fox Business.
Right.
So, because they want you to have to pay for that. They want the cable provider to have to pay for that stuff.
Exactly, and obviously that just gets pushed down to you. A la carte would be nice, but there would have to be a pretty big shift in the way the industry works. But it's interesting. I hadn't considered that maybe AT&T kind of wants this to fail. Although the thing is, it's not like the kind of person who has signed up for, I'm going to try and use the terrible new name, AT&T TV Now. That is way too many T's in a row. Anyway, it's not like the kind of person who has signed up for that is going to go, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go back to cable. They're going to go, well, YouTube TV is way less, or Hulu with live TV is way less, or PlayStation View, or Sling TV, or there's plenty of other choices that aren't $135 a month.
Only if you're thinking.
That's true.
I mean, if you are someone who's already on, let's say, AT&T Uverse, and then you call up the cable company and say, "Hey, I heard about this cord cutting thing. I wanna cancel my cable. Don't you have something for me?" And they say, "Yeah, we have this thing, but it'll cost you more. It'll cost you $24 more." Oh, okay, I'll stick with my cable then. I mean, so there's people out there who are not tech savvy, but they've heard of cord cutting. Like that's exactly the kind of thing my mother would call me and say with a slightly different voice. But she would call.
Well, yeah,
she would call and she would
I've
say,
never
"Oh,
met your mother, but I couldn't imagine that your mother is Harvey Firestein.
Oh, no,
Which
not
is
my
give or
father either, unfortunately.
Which is give or take the voice you just did, which was wonderful.
Yes. So, listen, my mother would definitely call me up and say, "Oh, my friend is cord cutting. Should I cord cut?" And then I would say, to her, "Why do you want to cord cut?" "Well, my friend's doing it, and she says it saved her money, and she doesn't get the channel she doesn't want, or whatever." And then she'll call up the cable company, and the cable company will say to her, like, "Yes, you can cord cut, but it'll cost you $25 more."
Yeah.
That's enough incentive to say no.
Never
I
mind.
don't want to be
Yeah.
bothered. So
That makes sense.
that's for people who are not savvy to the marketplace. People who are savvy to the marketplace will do something else. But
That makes sense.
even then, it is really hard to create a package of all the things that cable gives you, if what you want is exactly what you get from cable.
Yeah. For sure.
Just without paying for cable.
That makes sense. But like you said, it's not like AT&T Uverse is a big provider. I forgot that we have it in Florida, but whatevs. AT&T has kind of proven over the last year or so that business decisions don't seem to be their forte. So it's been a rough year of weird decisions from them. So I can see them going that way. Well, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who joined us live. We always appreciate it. If you didn't and would like to in the future, normally Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, f5live.tv/join us. And you can watch live, including all of the weird technical things that sometimes happen during a live show, including tonight's. Things happen. Oh well. Otherwise, you can always go to PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe, and there you can see all of our shows and all of the different ways you can subscribe on Apple and Google and Podcast Play and Spotify and TuneIn, and all the myriad of ways that you can listen or watch our shows are all there. I definitely recommend checking out the PLUGHITZ Live Presents series, because we've got lots of content being published there every day, and it's definitely worth checking out, because the interview we talked about earlier with Badali is published with the cryptocurrency stuff, so there's lots of interesting things there. And I think with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we will see you guys back next time. Ciao.